Sure, we can walk in some counties that child. The police were. Why didn't we keep we don't have them to open one up a while around. Yeah. Let's told us. That's the four. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Rotary, December the 19th, the last meeting of the year. Yeah. Won't see it again the next year. It's been 216 days to Halloween. And I don't even know everybody wanted to that for. What was that? Danny did yeah, Carter. Danny had surgery yesterday. Had it bladed. And I haven't been able to talk to him. I left him a couple of messages, but I don't know if he's still in the hospital, if he's healed up, or did not answer any phone. The truth is this special. All right, that better? Yes. All right, yes. All right. We'll say the invitation. Now to start with that. Thank you. I want to thank you for us getting us all here this morning, safe and healthy. And this is our last meeting of the year. And I'd like for you to remember Denny Jarvie, who had surgery yesterday, and I have not talked to him yet. I tried, but he's busy resting. And I hope everybody has a safe and happy new year. Grasses in your name. Amen. Today on this fine weather day, yes, dollars. 63%. After that was Sergeant Arm. How about that? Any happy bucks? Yeah, it is.
Happy Bucks.
Oh, yeah, friends.
Okay. Gonna be a bunch of happy bucks, to all of those who came out and did the gift wrapping. On Wednesday, we had a great crew and, some really hard workers. They got a lot of presents wrapped, so, and also Joe for giving us some more, gift wrapping. So I think we really hope they have enough for the good year. So thanks everybody for all your efforts and, good luck tomorrow and, deliver.
Sorry.
Yeah, so I have a happy thought. First off is I'm going on a cruise with family. And that's just a small group. There's only 33 of us on the ship. So it's gonna be hell for like a week. But the good news is, why I'm happy is that I'm leaving on the 27th. I won't miss any voting.
Yeah, that's
I found out my daughter is gonna be whatever, not Boy Scout, it's small. They were Boy Scout of the Year for our district. So that's really exciting, not just our troops. They all about it. We should work really hard and it's insane.
Anybody else have happy bucks?
Got one. Thank you for everybody that came out to Waterger Park. Had a great time. Pretty buddies. A lot of happy hits. Last count, maybe somebody did it better than I. Last count was just under 900. Oh, in attendance.
Yeah, somebody came out and helped. I have to agree with you. Thank everybody that did. Spent a lot of hours out there. It wasn't really cold. It was layered up. But we had kids lined up the whole night to come up to that house. And Shannon and John. Josh are keeping the kids busy.
I think we had the perfect setup. Beth was welcome them up with the game, and we had a little bit of standing in line time, and then we packed it like sardines into the cabin so they could all get a corn.
It was really good. And they've already asked us to come back next year.
Yeah.
So hopefully, the next president's wanting to do that. We'll find out. You ready for going?
Yeah. Great.
You're 2 10s.
Get your.
Dash. Oh, this table is like. What's wrong? Can't see it.
So what numbers are they looking for? We all know all the projects that go on trip back. Which we're gonna be handing out that delivery tomorrow. Absolutely. I don't wanna see much snow tomorrow either. Good. Are you ready to catch it anyway? Skin. Come man. And thank you to our greeters, Alex and Dave.
Thank you. I would like to tell you the little story about how I met Hope and Mandy. I was at First Thursdays and I was just walking around saying hi to people randomly. I all of a sudden felt this warm blanket just come over my body of somebody with positive energy that walked past me. I'm not kidding. I turned around, there was Hope. Oh, I looked her right in the eye. I'm like, oh, how are you? It's nice to meet you. Mandy and Hope, I can't describe it, but they've got so much compassion for humankind. And I am so thankful that they are here today to talk to you about something that you might not even know is happening in our city, right next door, possibly. And it's the human trafficking situation. And they run Dear Dinah, which is a nonprofit for that. And I will let Mandy tell you all about that. Thank you so much for coming.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for having us here today. I truly am honored, and it's cold and it's icy, and so I appreciate all of you live in the parking lot. So that's how excited I was to get in the door. I just went right in. No, I am honored any time I am invited and asked to speak into such a dark topic is human trafficking, but I truly believe that this is not a hopeless fight when it comes to human trafficking. I believe this is a hope-filled fight. I believe we have had the wrong conversation about human trafficking for far too long. And so any chance that I had to speak into this, I am just honored. So thank you so much. And before I go into Dear Dinah, which is this ministry that the Lord put on my heart 5 years ago, I want to back up a little bit before that and just share back in 2017, my husband and I were praying about, Lord, is there something else that you're asking us to do or calling us to do, or we're supposed to step out and to do? And I thought, well, maybe it's something in my church I'm supposed to get involved with, or, whatever. And the Lord told both of us, actually, I want you to sell everything that you have and move to Tennessee, and I want you to do foster care, which we were like, are you sure it's not something here? But it was as clear as day. I'm calling you to go to Tennessee. And so my husband and I, we sold everything that we had and we moved to Tennessee, and we fostered a sibling group of 5 children. So we have 2 biological boys, and then we had this sibling group of 5 come into our home, and we cared for them in Tennessee until the Lord brought a couple who ended up adopting all of them into their home. And then after it was time to go back to Ohio. So we came back to Ohio, in December of 2019. 2020 hit, and so did COVID. And it just felt like the world shut down. And in that summer, I had no way of knowing this was going to happen, but the Lord radically corrected me for human trafficking. And it was not on my radar at all. And there was one day, and the only way I had to explain it was I woke up one way and I went to bed another way. And the Lord opened my eyes to human trafficking, but not in the way that it had been kind of been, where I knew this was a thing, but I thought it was over there somewhere. And it was too big to really comprehend and wrap my head around, so I didn't, to be quite honest. I just kind of pushed it away. But this was the day where the Lord opened my eyes and He showed me it is not over there, it is here. It is in your city and it is actually in your neighborhood. And He opened my heart to where that night I couldn't go to sleep because I just cried myself to sleep because I knew so many souls were affected by human trafficking, and what am I going to do about it? And so I started just praying and asking the Lord, not what are you going to do about this, God, but what do you want me to do? And if you will go with me, if you will show me, if you will lead me, I will follow you. And so the Lord so clearly and beautifully laid out this ministry, dear Dinah, and I want to tell you about it. I want to tell you a little bit about human trafficking first, though, because, like I said, I think we are having a wrong conversation about it. I do have a slide. Now, listen, don't even try to read it. There's a lot of words, and it's probably going to be harder on your eyes to read it. So let me just tell you, okay? I'm going to tell you some numbers, but first I want you to understand all of our numbers are wrong because human trafficking lurks in the darkness and it's very hard to identify. So the numbers that we have right now are based on what has been reported about human trafficking, but I can tell you, spoiler alert, dear Dinah has a home downtown Dayton. It's open right now. I was there this morning dropping things off. Before I left, 2 women were already walking through the door. We are meeting women who are actively being trafficked in our city every week. Every week they come in. So that's not reported, right? So these numbers are what's reported. So approximately 50 million souls are being trafficked today. The US accounts for 50% of that.
Wow.
The average age of a trafficking victim is 12 years old. Unless it's familial. A familial trafficking victim means that their parents or a grandparent or a sibling is selling them. And the average age for a trafficking victim who is a familial trafficking victim is 5. Now, I can tell you with dear Dinah, the youngest that we have had the honor to serve and love, I'm going to see him today, was 4 when he came to us. We have to feel the weight of this.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's real. But I also want you to know I have seen hundreds at this point, victims go from victim to survivor to thriving. And so it's a hope-filled fight, right? 50 million, about 12 years old is the average age. Our kids are absolutely under attack. When we get to go train in schools, it is so powerful because we are able to talk to the very kids, some of them who are being exploited and nobody is seeing it happen. This is happening, and this is what I saw 5 years ago that I couldn't unsee. And when I knew that this was happening in my backyard, I had to do something. I had to stop waiting for somebody else to do it. But I asked the Lord, well, what's the solution though? Because we've been fighting human trafficking physically for a long time. You know, you can get somebody physically safe, but if they do not know that there is a Savior who offers everlasting healing, they are still in bondage. And so the way that we've been combating human trafficking, and I'll tell you, we've seen victory over victory over victory because it's not us doing it. We are just, here we are, Lord, send us, right? So we do this in a few different ways. We believe in proximity. We believe that Jesus did this when he came onto earth. Oh my goodness, we get to celebrate him. Where's the happy birthday, Jesus?
Yeah.
There it is, birthday boy. There it is, go Jesus, it's your birthday. I mean, we're literally about to celebrate the moment that he came onto this earth. And he did it because he had to be close to his creation. And so we model that through Dear Dinah. We want to be close. We want to serve. We want to love. We want to bring hope. We want to, just meet with these women right where we are. So one of the things that we do is every single week, 2 times a week, we do outreach where we go out into our city and we go where we know souls are being trafficked. Human trafficking is the sale of souls. It's human beings selling human beings. It's a $236 billion industry. That's greater than the music industry, is what human beings are making off of selling human beings. So we go to areas where we know this is happening in our city, and we get out of the car and we will walk right up to them and we will just say, we have a bag. Would you like one? It's filled with all kinds of goodies. There's a letter in there that's written to them. There's snacks. And we just look them in the eye and say, what's your name? We're Mandy, Hope, whoever else. Is there anything we can do to help you? We just want you to know you're not alone out here. And then our teams go back. They're constantly going back to where these girls now know, okay, it's Tuesday at 7, they're coming. Okay, it's Thursday at 7, they're coming. We had one night, the outreach team went out and there's this girl and she was standing on the corner and they went up to her and she said, you have to stop right there. You can't come closer because I'm being watched. And so they said, okay, that's fine. We just wanted you to know, you're not alone out here and we see you. And if you ever need anything, and she said, well, I don't want to stay out here, but I can't leave right now. And so Kaylee, who's our outreach coordinator, she said, if you can be back here at 1 o'clock tomorrow, we'll come get you. And she said, okay, but you have to leave now. And Kaylee said, okay, we're going to be here at 1 o'clock tomorrow. If we come and you're not here, we'll be here next Thursday. She said, okay, you have to leave. And so the next day we went back, I was at the house praying, but Kaylee and the Miami Valley Human Trafficking Task Force, who we work really closely with, they were monitoring the area. Kaylee went back with a couple people, 1 o'clock, they waited for 30 minutes and she didn't show up. So the next Thursday they went back to the same corner and she wasn't there. And then the next Thursday they went back to the same corner and it's raining and they look and they can see somebody running. And so they're looking and they roll the window down and they hear, take me, take me, take me. And it's her. And she runs right up to the car and she said, I looked at the clock. I saw it was 7 and I knew that you would be here. Take me. That's in our city. And she got in the car. They took her to McDonald's, got her some food and took her into treatment that night. Our outreach team is literally where the rubber meets the road. I mean, they are faithfully going out. It was raining. It was cold last night. They were out there last night. This month, they passed out stockings just filled with goodies for these girls. And so we have our outreach team going out, and then we have this home. It's called the Victory House because the Lord said this is going to be a house of victory. And that's a house downtown Dayton. We pray, like, Lord, there are a lot of houses down here. Point us to the right house, the one you want us to be at. And he brought us to this house, and it's open during the week for women who are actively being trafficked. They can just walk in the doors. Wednesday and Friday is open. We have home cooked meals. This morning they were making, they had stew, and then they had fresh baked bread and salad. They had this beautiful cookie, like Christmas cookie platter for the girls, and hot chocolate and coffee. So they always have a home cooked meal when they walk in. They can take a shower, they can get clothing. They just sit around the table and just get loved on. I mean, we know them. It's all about just knowing you, being known. And so spend this time with them at the Victory House. We have days, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday, where women who have been trafficked but are out of that life and just need community, they come into Bible study for art therapy, again, just to be together. And so we have this house, and a few weeks ago, a bullet came through the wall. Nobody was there. It wasn't intentional. It was a stray bullet. But of all the rooms in the house, it came in through our prayer room. And it just landed on the floor. And I have that bullet because it's two reminders for me. One, we are right where we're supposed to be. You know, we are not in a safe area, but that's where they are every day. We want to be where they are, where they can just walk in. And then two, the Lord said, I'll stop a bullet for you. And I believe that his hand is in our city and he is restoring and he is moving and he is working and he is protecting for his glory. And so I love that bullet, actually. I know it's so weird, but the day that I saw it, I put it in my pocket and I was kind of giggling because I was sitting on a bullet all day. But I mean, what a beautiful reminder. And so we have that home and it's absolutely amazing. And then the Lord gave me a vision a couple of years ago, the place where these women can actually live and heal, because I'll tell you, you know, it's a 1% survival rate for somebody who's been trafficked. That's it, 1%. And I was seeing these souls coming out of human trafficking, which in and of itself is a miracle, right? But then I would see them come out and maybe go into treatment or recovery, and then they would finish where they leave early and they go right back to their trafficker. There's a bond. We talk about this when we do trainings, but there's a lot involved with actually leaving human trafficking and staying out of it. But I just kept seeing this need where they come out, they go back, they come out, they go back. And so the Lord gave me this vision for a tiny home community. And it was on land, and it wasn't in the city, it's on land, and there's these tiny homes in a lavender field and a farm with chickens and goats and just a beautiful restorative place where these women can come live. And so with everything else, you know, I told the Lord, I'll do this, but you have to be in it. You have to go forward, you know, first, and I'll follow. And also, because we don't do any government funding, I don't like having my hands tied. So you know, I said, we'll do it, but the land alone is going to cost a lot of money. And God said, well, when are you going to ask me for the land? I already own it. And a couple months later, he gave us 22 acres. And so we have land in New Carlisle that we are developing into a tiny home community. We have our first 4 of 5 homes funded already. We have our garden area, raised garden beds. We have a farm area where we have chickens and ducks, and we just got goats. And we are watching this come to life for these women to be able to come and live on. In addition to that, we also, where I mentioned, but we work very closely with the Miami Valley Human Trafficking Task Force and Homeland Security. And this is something that I believe is favor from the Lord, because we are the only nonprofit that they work with in our city. And so when you read about a sting operation, or when you read about a bust, or when you read, their Dinah's on site for those. When they are recovering these girls who are, you know, caught in trafficking and exploitation, they are calling your Dinah. Can you come pick them up? Can you be on site in case we find any? Can you be in the hotel room while we're calling? I mean, we have been able to be right in the heat of the moment for crisis, which is amazing, because that moment for them feels like my life couldn't get any worse. And we get to tell them, your life may not have gotten any better, but this moment right here, this is an opportunity. You don't have to go back to that. And so we have flown girls all over the country to get them safe. We have helped them, I mean, whatever the need is, whether it is safe housing, whether it is employment. We had a girl go from homeless on our street to she is now reconciled with her family. She has an apartment. She's working. She's back in school. I mean, and this is not us. Please hear me. This is not us. This is what the Lord wants to do. He is a miracle working God, and he's still working miracles. And I just feel like we've been given this front row seat to watch him heal and restore so many countless lives. It just doesn't make sense, you know, but he's doing it. He's doing it. And so then we also do trainings, and that's a big part to me. You know, this is my 3rd time this week doing, you know, speaking or doing a training, and I just feel like we have to talk about this because nobody's talking about this. And human trafficking is lurking in the darkness. So what do you do when that happens? You shine a light on it. And you don't only shine a light on it, but you bring in solutions as well. And I think that's something that's been missing also is that maybe people are talking about human trafficking, but they're not telling you how you are positioned to get involved, and you are positioned to get involved, and you are positioned to get involved. We all are positioned to fight against human trafficking, and I'm going to tell you how right now. Human traffickers, they are preying on vulnerabilities. They're looking for the most vulnerable souls. And I'll tell you, anything can be a vulnerability. It can be homelessness, but it can also be loneliness.
Mhm.
And so for a child who feels alone, who's sitting at home on their phone and they're online, and somebody sends them a message and says, "You're cute, where are you from?" That alone can be enough for that child to want to engage and talk to this person who is actually a predator online. Right? And so understanding human traffickers are actively looking for vulnerable people. And also, just side note, the fact that Jesus made himself vulnerable to be close to those most vulnerable, that's the solution. If traffickers are looking for vulnerabilities and they're stepping in to prey on those vulnerabilities and exploit those vulnerabilities, if we can be looking for vulnerabilities also, and we draw in close, and we offer help, and we help with the flat tire on the side of the road, or we help the single mom who cannot afford groceries, or we help this person who just lost a job find another job. Literally, we are fighting human trafficking because you are stepping into a vulnerability before a trafficker can get there. I promise you, I have heard so many stories about when trafficking started, and it was a moment of crisis that instead of somebody else stepping in and saying, "I can help you with that," a trafficker did. And that's all it took for them to begin to groom and control that soul and lead them into human trafficking. And so being able to recognize that no small, kind, loving deed, I mean, there's no deed too small when you just see a soul in front of you and you're willing to show them love. You know what I mean? And so you're passing up bags tomorrow? Where is that? What is that? What's it for?
At Doc's Market.
We're passing them out here
For who?
for people on, that go to the food banks,
Oh,
for the food pantries.
so tomorrow you'll be fighting human trafficking, right?
Yeah.
Anytime you step in, you are fighting human trafficking. You truly are. So anyhow, I think I have 30 minutes. I know. 30 minutes. But I want to say thank you. And I want to encourage you all too, because again, we have watched soul after soul after soul come out of darkness into light. And we're watching a community. I will tell you too, Dear Dinah has been so blessed to have hundreds of volunteers, so hundreds of people just stepping up to get involved with this also. And it's making a difference, it's making an impact. I truly believe our city is different today than it was 5 years ago. And I believe it's because the Lord has been moving and working, even just in Dear Dinah and other ways too. You know, but I can testify to what I've seen, and it's absolutely incredible. So thank you so much for having us here. Thank you for yes.
I just asked a question.
Oh yeah, can we do questions?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
As long as you're okay.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Let me grab my water.
Yeah, go ahead. Are the girls that you're talking about, are they literally 12 years old that you're seeing on the corners? Or is that like a national average?
It's a national average. However, I will tell you, most of the girls downtown, they're anywhere from 18, which a child will tell you they're 18, to we have some women in their 50s who've been trafficked for 30 years in our city. They've never left. Okay. But we have seen, you know, obviously children as well. There was a girl who went missing about about a month ago or so, her face went out on Facebook, and Kaylee, my outreach coordinator, texted me and said she was at the Victory House yesterday. Said she was 18 years old. They were able to find her within days, but, so yes, we mainly work with adults. When it's a child, Homeland Security will get involved, but, yeah.
What about boys?
Boys are also trafficked. And I want to just say really clearly, and I'm so sorry, I know I've just said women, 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 and it's because that's who we are working with. Women, men, and boys are also being trafficked, and sextortion, which is a whole other conversation, but the target for sextortion is boys. And so traffickers are using that to be able to get their pictures and videos and then use to groom girls. It's a whole other thing, but they absolutely are being trafficked as well. About 54%, and again, remember numbers, but about 54% are women and girls being trafficked. Yes.
So kind of two quick questions. One, on the slide, it was saying that it's one of the fastest.
Yeah.
So I don't understand that. I don't understand why that is I don't understand that.
I
You
know.
what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, do you think that's primarily because the internet's made it an easier transition or
Yes.
transaction or whatever? Because I think, again, I'm just saying, if AI is as genius as they say, AI will fix that problem
That,
and all the spam. But the other, is there key things that we could look for to identify someone who we may suspect is being tracked?
yes. Okay, so first part of your question, and this is really hard, but you will never make sense of any of this. You can't,
Yeah.
you know, it's evil. You can't make sense of evil. Is the second fastest growing next to drug trafficking. However, I think that's wrong. I think it's probably the fastest growing crime. You know, a drug trafficker sells a drug once. A human trafficker sells a soul over and over and over and over again.
Right.
In a single night. So that's part of it. When you look at the money behind it, when you look at the fact that it's so secretive, I mean, you could literally have somebody in this room right now who has been trafficked and you would never know. And I can tell you, most of my trainings I do, somebody comes up to me and says that I've been there, you know, so that's part of it as well. Could it be shut down? Yes, but we have to see it to shut it down. Now, to your next question, how do you identify it? There absolutely are key indicators. Now, this is what I tell people. I would focus more not on the key indicators, but the vulnerabilities, because that's what traffickers are looking for and preying on. So I say let's fight it before it starts. However, if you're in a situation where you think maybe I'm seeing it, my cards are right there and you're welcome to reach out to me. And because of, you know, my involvement with the task force and Homeland Security, we can be able to help with a situation like that. But I'll tell you some key indicators. One would be a person who clearly has no control of their coming, they're going, they're speaking. They may have somebody with them who does a lot of talking for them. They might be hyper aware of what's going around them, so they may exhibit fear and anxiety, association. Those could be some as well. They may have multiple cell phones. A lot of times they might have a personal and the phone that the trafficker uses to, you know, do their business. They may have signs of abuse. Tattoos, branding tattoos are very common where traffickers will actually either put their names on the girls, they might have crowns on them, some kind of ownership symbol on them as well. Now, in kids, it looks a little different. So I would say looking for changes in behaviors could be indicators, especially because most traffickers are actually going to enter into a victim's life as a boyfriend. So they are more than likely going to this person, this victim, is more than likely going to start by thinking, I have somebody in my life now who I never thought, you know, this is too good to be true. This person loves me. This person is taking care of me. This person, you know, looks at me like nobody else has ever looked before, but they're slowly being isolated and pulled away from everything else. So you're kind of, that's how I explain it in our trainings, but it's almost like you're being handed puzzle pieces. that are making a bigger picture, but you're not always necessarily going to see it based on one thing, if that makes sense. And a lot of times it's misidentified. So people are identifying everything else but the trafficking piece. So there are indicators, but again, I would say look for the vulnerabilities. Look and see if somebody can't answer very easy, basic questions. They're consulting somebody else or they're speaking for them. That's very common as well. Yeah.
How long do the traffic victims stay in one location? Because I thought they would move them.
No, and that's a great question. A lot of times, because it's called trafficking, a lot of people think there has to be movement. We have women who have been trafficked in our city and never left. So there absolutely does not have to be any movement. Trafficking is simply, not simple, but it literally is the sale of a human. And so there are traffickers who move their girls to be able to stay under the radar, follow kind of where there's money, and they might move, there's tracks, known tracks, which is a common area where people are being trafficked. Like the whole east side of the US is a track where they'll traffic from Florida to New York and back down again. But they don't have to move, and especially a lot of familial trafficking where you have children being trafficked. All of the girls that we love on who were trafficked as children, they were in school almost every day and nobody knew it. There was no movement with them. So there's not always travel. Yeah.
Prosecution rate on the traffic,
In Montgomery County?
Yeah.
0.
What?
0.
There was one prosecution in 2016. It's going to change county to county. We really need to pray for Montgomery because traffickers are bringing their girls here because it is not being prosecuted. I will tell you though, without saying more than I can say, I believe this is changing this year. So.
What was the reason?
Yeah.
Is it not enough evidence? Is it hard to prove?
What is the reason being told?
Sure.
Okay. Not enough evidence and they need more victims. But let me just tell you, to ask a victim to take a stand, to speak out against their trafficker, especially when they've never seen this work before, knowing that could cost them their life once that discovery packet is available, you're not going to get a victim. And they want them clean. Trafficking and drugs almost always go hand in hand because traffickers also dope boy, feeding them drugs to get them addicted to the drugs. So even if they want to leave the trafficking experience, they'll go back for the drugs. It's so messy. So to say we want a clean victim, take the stand, that's hard. And please hear me, I really don't want to imply that there's anything screwy going on, but I do know what I've heard as the reasons. I think more awareness and education would really help in that area. So, yeah.
Are you working with law enforcement to arrest the customers that are paying for these?
Yes. So last year too, I don't know if you remember, there was a big sting up. It was called Operation Buyer's Remorse. That was all to go after the buyers. Whenever we do sting operations, they're focused on 3 things. One are the buyers. They do get charges against them. It's a slap on the wrist, but they do. They're looking for victims, which is why we are there, and they're hoping to uncover traffickers. So, yeah.
Can you tell me about the origin of the name Dear Dinah?
Sure. Okay, so let's go back to that summer where the Lord broke my heart for human trafficking. So I did not know anything about human trafficking. And so part of just that first initial, journey, I guess to say, was education, was learning as much as I could learn, reading as many books as I could read, listening to as many testimonies as I could, all the things. And then there was this morning where I was in the Word and I was in Genesis 34, which that was just my natural, place that I was that morning. But Genesis 34 is about Dinah. And actually in my Bible, the chapter was called The Defiling of Dinah. And that's Jacob's daughter. And I will tell you, because I've read my Bible before, I never noticed her. And so I started reading this chapter about Dinah, and I was so brokenhearted for so many reasons. But one was because it's like, how did I never notice this girl before and this whole thing that happened to her? I mean, basically, the Bible says she was seen by this. She was on her way to go to a nearby village to spend time with these women. And on her way, she was seen by a man named Shechem who saw her, wanted her, so he took her, humiliated, and violated her. And that's what we know that happened to her. And then you don't hear her voice. You don't know anything about what happened to Dinah. I mean, you see what her brothers did, but it's like, but what? I was so crippled by, but what did she feel? What was she thinking? What was she saying? Like, I just felt this hurt in my heart for Dinah. And so I read her story and I just like cried out to the Lord, and he said, read it again. And so I started back and I started reading her story again. And this time through it, he was showing me, you've never noticed her before, but I saw her and I was with her. And my word was not complete without her story in it. And so I that time I'm just like, thank you, Lord, And then I finished it and he says, read it again. And so I went back and I read it again. And that time when I was reading it, it was almost like, I hope this doesn't freak anyone out, but it was almost like I was no longer on my couch. I was just in this field with Dinah. It was almost like she made it. Like she was trying to get to these women who were in this nearby field. And it was like in this moment, I was just looking at her, like she made it to that field. And I'm just staring at her. And I'm thinking about my heart and my brokenness for so many women. And then so many souls that have been seen, wanted, taken, humiliated, and violated. And I didn't know what to say. And so all I could say was, Dear Dinah, Dear Dinah. And it just kept going over and over in my head, Dear Dinah, Dear Dinah, Dear Dinah. To the point where when I finished that time, I actually looked it up. Dear means cherished and loved, and Dinah means vindicated. And I heard the Lord say, that is what you say. You tell them they are cherished and loved, and I will vindicate them. And so actually, if you walk into the Victory House in big letters on the wall, it says cherished, loved, and vindicated. And that's why the whole heart of Dear Dinah is just being close and sharing that message with them of who they are. So anyway, that was the reason. And it's so funny because, and my husband can tell you, I am a jump in with both feet, knees, shoulders, head, drown, it's okay. So he got home from work that day and I said, we're gonna do a ministry and it's called Dear Dinah. And that's what it stands for. And this is gonna have wheat in it. And he's like, oh my goodness. So anyhow, it hit the ground running and God's been so good since then. Yes.
How long can the people live at the little houses in New Carlisle? How's that set up?
Yes, so we have a 2-year idea, goal, but it will be goal oriented because these are not girls coming straight from the street to a tiny house. They would have had some time of healing. So the hope is that this is a time where you can put so much of what you've been learning and discovering and dreaming for into practice. And so it's going to be more goal focused. So maybe the goal is I want to, raise enough for a down payment on a house, or I need to get a car, or I need to finish my degree, or I need to, and so that's going to be more of the focus as opposed to it's 2 years, now you got to go.
Right.
Nothing that we do is programmatic. I've watched how the world handles healing, and I just think there's a lot of error in it. And so it's less about program and more about how do we come alongside you and support you and grow community with you and make sure that you're ready to step out and do this. You know what I mean? So
We allowed to go visit?
yeah, absolutely. Any other questions? Yeah.
So, so I know studies show, excuse me, that when big sports events come into town, that human trafficking increases.
Mhm.
So does your agency do anything differently when we get some of these big events in town?
Yes and no. We do what we've always done, The thing about sporting events, there's a lot of misunderstandings about what trafficking at sporting events look like. they are not going to sporting events and trafficking people coming into the sporting event. They're selling their girls to the people coming into town to celebrate the win, right? And so, really what we do, which has been a few years since we've had a big sporting event here. And we'll work with the task force because if they're identifying victims, then we'll help with that. But most of the time in Dayton, it's just, we're noticing if our girls are gone because they're working longer hours and trying to step in to create another option for them, you know. Any other questions? Okay.
No.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Like to somebody take a picture of this, if presenting this, book. Take that another good one. Belmore and the big Christmas rescue. That's so fitting.
Keep down with the cup.
What?
So it's not, or it's stay here.
Where you?
For the tree.
One right there. No, I want the four-way test in the background. I think I'm gonna get beyond this.
She will also have to check.
Okay, by the tree. Okay.
Supposed to. Well, yeah, you know, it is.
Awesome.
Thank you.
It's got a sweater, Christmas, like to get a picture with you?
Yeah.
So turn it off down.
Yeah, let's
And that better rush you well.
see that again.
Anybody with us here?
Oh. I'm sorry about this.
Sweaters are ugly, not if we're ugly.
How to get that?
Sweaters are ugly.
But,
No.
Hey, David.
well,
Yeah, get out of here.
Cards.
Yeah, they're crazy.
Thanks.
you know,
Yeah. Take some of it back and just put it on fire.
Thank you so much.
Hey, John,
So,
time's now, so
Brenda.
yeah, that's
what that like one here.
that one, they're both of them.
Give that one, yeah. Let's see.
Go.
No.
No.
yes,
Thank you.
thank you.
Teamwork.
Oh, it's all right.
She doesn't know who you can. Someone breaks and we share her hair.
Somebody likes to sweat. Who are we doing? Read it.
Look at this.
Greta.
All right, Scott.
Don't do that. All right, Greta. I don't want to be separate, like. Hey, that's great. Thank you. Thank you. What's the problem here? Bye. Actually, it's not really good. Yeah.
You lost control.
Can you have a business to be grown up today?
What'd you say? Sorry.
Oh, I, that's if any other business.
Don't forget, no meetings for 2 weeks, right? Board meeting afterwards,
Yeah,
Today?
today,
Yes.
yeah.
today, excellent. What else?
That's something else.
Yeah, we got.
Holiday baskets.
What else?
8:30 in the morning, they're out.
Waiting everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's the tear down? We're gonna stop, get back together.
Yeah, it's the first, well, not before we get back together, the first couple of weeks of January,
It's the 10th,
decide when we're gonna do it.
set for the 11th. 11th, Sunday, right?
We've got it, it's after we get back.
Yeah, keep a look at the weather map, pick the heat wave.
Right. Yeah. No cold weather, get you. You all right?
And that's what I'm serious. That's catch 22, right?
I pledge to the flag. That's six prayer. Which is citizens, one nation, the peaceful. This for Merry Christmas, guys. Merry Christmas, all. Yeah, March. Have a good weekend. Be rich. Community. Yeah. So.
Stop.
Well, she's good, wasn't she? Have you heard her speak before? Me too. Great. Good. Smells really good. I'm gonna make Jim do.
Yeah, stay warm. Actually, oh, I get resource my fault. You know, so you don't even get the low. Things are legal charge. Return up.
So did you survive your finals and everything?
Yeah, it's.
Yeah, all good.
Yeah.
Are you, is today your last day?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. And are you sad that you're not going home?
No?
No?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I'm all right.
I would be very sad. I'm impressed with you. Uh-oh, it's third.
I'm punished. I'm always happy when I get right. And Christmas for tomorrow is a 7 scale. And that's all. It's on my age. What's going it's awesome. I'm right there. Look, you know, it's pretty. What's going on? David, who? Yeah, me. But, so, with that, you're saying that you want you want our friend, you know, you are on the material song. Not just we thought community, you can't know how to report. So, if I leave it, it's asking. Very much short. And thank you. What's the yeah. Hey, guys, JD Joe Brass, it's a later practice, it's all really. Does, it's not your taking, thank you.